We should talk about Convergence.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we'll just do it right now.
Okay, how's it?
Yeah, let's do it right now. We're
Okay.
going to a Convergence, the Convergence Con. How did it get its name?
It converged. I don't know.
It is a converging of sorts.
Yeah.
Sure. Mini-con was taken. No, anyway, yeah. It is this weekend, next weekend, July 6th through the 9th.
Yeah.
We shall be there representing the Just Enough Trope Network, of course. In our capacity as that, we'll be running a fan table there. So if you're at Convergence and you listen to the show, stop on by. Stop by if you don't listen to the show.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're hearing this. That's amazing. Or maybe you are just, people play their headphones so loud that you can like hear and follow along to the music
Yes.
that's going on. And it's like, wow, are you hearing disabled or what's the situation here?
Right.
You just need to feel every bit of that Gloria Estefan when you're on the bus. And I get to share it with you, the rhythm of the night or whatever it is. So we're going to be there at our table. We're going to have some giveaways for some cool prizes. We're there to just talk about whatever you guys want to talk about nerd-wise. We might have actually a video game center set up there for people to play and to just hang out and have fun as nerds. I'm going to be on quite a few panels there as well at the show, talking about all kinds of things like recent films, classic films, a couple Star Trek panels as well, and of course we're representing enterprising individuals as well. And to that end, this is one long run-on sentence, and that was a parenthetical, and so is this. I'm doing a live version of the Enterprising Individuals show there. We are, of course, covering the Wrath of Khan, Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, with 4 amazing guests. And that's going to be fun. We'll be taping that live. That'll be up later on the Patreon for Enterprising Individuals at enterprisingindividual.com. Have I figured everything out?
I think so. I think you covered everything.
That's strong. That was strong.
Yeah.
If you're going to be there, check it out. If not, you can hear all about it because we're going to do mini shows from each day, all 4 days of the con, and then have a wrap-up show like we usually do.
Yep.
You know, if you listen to this show, you know by now.
Yes.
We've done this a bunch of times.
Yes.
And so we'll be doing that again this year. There, easy, done.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we? We're the Just Enough Trope podcast. We've finally taken it to the casual opening intro. It was too far. Now we just start in the middle of like a comic book club segment. You're like, wait a minute, am I missing part of the file here? No, that's what we are. I'm your host, Caliban, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana.
And we have so much to get to today that we're going to really blast through it real fast. We'll talk about a little news really fast because there's been some wacky stuff that's been going on out there. Also, a trio of trailers. That goes together pretty well. Sure. A flight, if you will, of trailers have come out recently. We'll be looking at the trailers for the upcoming Jumanji movie, also the upcoming Death Note movie on Netflix, and the upcoming Inhumans TV show on presumably on ABC, I guess.
Yep.
We'll talk about those. And then we'll get to our comic book club segment, which is the Spectacular Spider-Man, the Death of Jean DeWolff storyline.
Yes.
4-issue storyline, 106 through 110, I believe. Spectacular Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man from the 80s or so. And as a companion, as a something to pair with that flight. Wait, the flight was the trailers. This is something different. To pair with that, I will have a spoiler-free review of the new movie Spider-Man Homecoming.
All right.
We'll talk about that. So that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be a part of that.
I'm too.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, Cal. I looking forward to talking about Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's hard to keep it together. I know that I personally am almost every year. I think this happens, and especially since we've started going to these things, in a professional capacity, the amount of preparation you do is never enough.
It never seems like it's
never
enough.
And it seems like it's all you do, and yet it's never enough.
Yeah.
And so I've got to this point where I've got like a list of things that I just don't prepare for anymore.
Okay.
We're going to be talking to a lot of people. Oh, that's something else I wanted to mention, and I forgot. Some of the people we're talking to at the show. Some great names like Christopher Carter, Norman Cates, Eric Chu, Tracy Lee Coco, Naomi Kritzer, Shannon McGuire, Jai Nitz, Cam Banks, Emma Bull, Bridget Landry, Lyda Morehouse, Brian Talwara, Hedy Copley-Woods, Melissa Olson, and the list goes on.
Yes.
And if you recognize those names, great. If you don't, look them up. See what happens. I dare you. But they're all great creators, movie people, TV people, authors. We're going to talk to a scientist about the science of superheroes. James Kakalios wrote a book called The Science of Superheroes. Talk to him. And so a lot of these interviews you got to really prepare for, but there's some that I'm not going to prepare for.
Okay.
I'm not going to write a single word for Melissa Olson.
Okay. That's fair.
Because why?
That's fair because we know her pretty well, and she's pretty easy to talk to.
Right. That's one of those things that, I got to brush up on my zoo.
Yeah, I was going to say.
She was really into zoo last time we talked to her.
Yeah.
And so it's great. I can't wait to talk to some of those people, but you got to get ready. You got to prepare.
Yeah.
How are you going to talk to Tracy Lee Coco without giving her, the good questions about her time on Star Trek, the questions she hasn't been asked a million times before?
Yeah.
Although I do want to know, was something going on with her and Captain Picard at Data's poetry reading? They're sitting very close together. Very close. So I'm sure she's been asked that, but I'm going to ask her that for sure when we see her at the show next week. Let's get to the news. Top Gun 2 coming out July 12th, 2019.
Okay. There we go. That's the date, everybody.
That's it, Val. Well, actually, I guess Val's got to go before that if they're going to shoot. But if you want to look good at the premiere as well, that's the date you got to hit.
Exactly.
Get on the Stairmaster. Let's do this. Well, I'm one to talk. No, I hope Val Kilmer. I hope everybody's in it. Right? They'll be in it.
I think so.
It's being directed by Joseph Kosinski.
Okay.
Who directed Tron Legacy.
All right.
Yeah. So, and he also he directed and wrote Oblivion, I think. So he's worked with crews before.
Okay.
It's clear that that's why he's being selected. Tron Legacy is fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's all right.
Nothing really good or bad about it.
Right or home about.
Yeah. It's competent, but that's about it. So I don't know. I mean, this is going to keep going. Jerry Bruckheimer, still alive somehow, is back as the producer again, and so I think they're going to try to create the need for some speed in us.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
Give us the awareness of our need for speed.
Well, I wasn't aware that I needed speed, so
they have to create the awareness of that need in you.
Yeah, I suppose.
And then you'll need the speed.
I suppose.
And they'll be right there to sell it to you. That's how it works. Speaking of movies, Fox has set 6 release dates for movies of which we don't know.
Oh.
They are.
Okay.
The dates are it's the 7th of June, 2019, the 22nd of November, 2019, and then it's, this is boring, I'm just reading dates, March 13th, June 26th, and October 2nd of 2020, and then the 5th of March in 2021.
Okay. And
we don't know what they're for.
We have no idea.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of weird to announce dates without having any films to go along with that.
Right, and we already know that New Mutants is coming out next year, as is Deadpool and X-Men Dark Phoenix. So people are wondering, is this the extension of those things?
Of those films.
But otherwise, we don't know. They just slap these things on their calendar, basically on their schedule, and have announced nothing else.
Okay. Maybe they feel like they need to keep up with Marvel and have the dates announced and stuff like that.
Right, maybe. Yeah, only they aren't necessarily that set in stone.
Yeah. Like
the Inhumans movie. That will never see.
That will never happen.
But we'll talk about the trailer later.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't really know. I'll tell you one thing. Sony's going to start putting a lot of dates on the map after next weekend.
You think so?
Yeah. Because, not to spoil my review of Spider-Man, but this is going to go on for a long, long time.
Okay.
This is never going to die. So.
All right.
So that's kind of good news. Let's talk about Rick and Morty. The 3rd season is going to premiere on July 30th. It's been announced.
Okay.
And it has 10 episodes.
All right.
Which is pretty standard. 10 is pretty much what the other ones had, I think.
All right.
And it's been a real sort of controversy recently that it's taken so long, and people are bothering Dan Harmon, of course, which that's like poking a bear. Almost literally.
Yeah, seriously.
And there have been rumors of him and Justin Roiland fighting. Justin Roiland, of course, the co-creator and voice of Rick and Morty. But apparently none of that's true. Everything's fine. It just took a long time to make because good things do. And now it's going to come out on July 30th.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a trailer online that you can watch. It's sort of, a trailer for the show. I haven't watched it because I don't watch trailers when I'm going to watch what the thing is.
Sure.
We're going to talk about some trailers in a little bit. And again, not to spoil that upcoming bit, but each one of those things are things that I'm kind of, could go. We'll see.
Either way.
Yeah, and so a trailer, I need that to bring me in.
Sure.
I'm going to watch Rick and Morty. I don't want to see the trailer.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I don't want it to spoil anything, so look at that. Looks like Patty Jenkins will be returning for the Wonder Woman movie sequel.
Woohoo!
Yes.
Oh, good.
Which is pretty good news. I don't think that doesn't surprise you, does it?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all, and I would have been surprised if she hadn't come back.
No kidding.
So...
and then Wonder Woman news, recently Wonder Woman has passed Batman vs. Superman at the box office.
Well, good.
Yes.
As it should.
So she's close to, I guess I don't know how you count it, because do you count the Donner movies, or like if you're going to talk about DC, in the modern slate of DC superheroes,
sure,
she's getting up there. She's not number one yet, I don't think, but
she's really making it.
Yeah,
well, good.
In a strange twist, everybody should be fired. Everyone should be fired, even the people that helped bring it to the screen and made it. Because why did this take so long? And everybody looks like a complete stupid person with egg on their face that for years they said that this couldn't be a thing. It finally happens. It's killing it. It's breaking all the box office records.
It's huge.
It's the most, successful movie ever made by a woman. It's the most successful, R-rated movie by a woman. It's beat Batman versus Superman, which is supposed to be their huge tentpole thing.
Right.
I mean, if Marvel is not going to do a Black Widow movie, it's a broken record.
I know.
I don't even know what it's going to take for them to do something like that. But anyway, hopefully this is going to get us a lot more films like this, and hopefully the Captain Marvel people who are making Captain Marvel will look at the quality of Wonder Woman and go, all right, we got to make this. The bar has been set,
right,
and the bar is really high, and you'll need Amazonian powers to jump over it. So let's hope that they get that message. It looks like Rosario Dawson is leaving the New Mutants film.
Oh, no.
Yes, she was originally going to play Cecilia Reyes. She's being replaced with Alice Braga.
Okay.
This is really bad news.
Why is that bad news?
And I have prepared a list of. I've prepared a slideshow. It doesn't play on a podcast, but a whole bunch of material I have collected on this. So,
okay.
Do you know Alice Braga?
No, I don't think I do.
You've seen her before. I think probably the most recent, or the thing that you would remember her from is, remember the movie I Am Legend?
Yes.
With Will Smith?
Yes. She
is the girl that shows up halfway through. With the kid.
Sure.
For no good reason. That's not a good movie.
No,
it's a bad movie.
It's not.
And so I think she's never been in a good movie.
Okay.
And I've got Rotten Tomatoes up right now, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay. Now there's always an exception that proves the rule. She was in City of God, which is a fantastic film. Must be seen by everybody. It's really why she exists now, like why she's a thing at all. But from there, she has just been in a unending list of bad. If you see her, you are watching a bad film. Okay. You can fight me on whether I kind of like the Will Smith. That's fine that you like the Will Smith I Am Legend, but I think we can agree this Akiva Goldsman movie is not great.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's like she magically corrupts whatever it is, or she just has a bad agent. But to me, she's like the female Oliver Platt. I've gone off before about my Oliver Platt theory. She's got nothing. Like, her highest rated film besides City of God is I Am Legend at 70%.
Okay.
Hardly a slam dunk, right?
No.
And then everything else she's been in is just not good. Like, Red Belt is all right. That's that David Mamet, I think, movie about punching, about karate.
Okay.
It's like 68%. But otherwise, nothing. I mean, Predators, people were kind of divided on whether that was any good or not. Elysium, sure. I think we all agree Elysium's not very good.
No.
And let's see. She was on the Road. Oh, I didn't see that. Repo Man, terrible. Almost so bad it's good, but terrible movie. Blindness, not very good. So, yeah, I mean, this is bad news.
So you think this means this is bad news for the film?
Yep.
Okay.
Real worried. worried when they said that they were, it's going to be a horror movie. You know, like the New Mutants is a horror comic book.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Not really.
Nuh-uh.
So, we'll see.
Okay.
More on that as she continues to ruin it. Looks like Netflix is bringing Sense8 back for a 2-hour special that will be designed to sort of wrap up the storylines. Peacekeeper Wars style.
Yeah.
Good news.
Good news.
Yeah.
People are happy about that,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
it's really good news.
Yeah.
Not big fans of the show, us.
No.
I think we've said before, but I was thinking about this the other day. It's easier to do this sort of thing now. Because in the old days, you burn the sets or whatever.
Right.
And everybody moves on and has different jobs, and you're never going to see your follow-up to, I don't know, Blake 7 or whatever it is.
Sure.
You're never going to get your resolution. And, oh, no, there was a resolution in Blake 7. They killed every single person. So with something like this, where it's digital, it's like, oh, yeah, we could throw something together. But my question is, if you're willing to pay for a 2-hour movie,
right,
2 hours of the show Sense8 must cost a lot.
Yes.
So you're basically going to make 2 more episodes that are probably going to cost a little more because you want to give it the oomph of a movie or whatever.
Right.
You couldn't have just scheduled something with the Wachowskis to be like, okay, you guys are going to bring it home in like 3 seasons, right?
Right.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we will. Okay. And then there you go. Tell your whole story. Like, how can you be caught unawares, when it's all being paid for by the network? It's being distributed on Netflix, basically. So, like,
right.
How, it's not like a traditional media TV thing where it just goes and goes and goes, because we don't ever want Supernatural to leave the air. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Like, their kids, Dean and Sam's kids, are going to be fighting stuff pretty soon. So, yeah, I just, it's cool, but I just wonder, like, well, why not just... How come you didn't make it? How long were they going to go? Were they just
I don't know.
improvising
That's a good
or something?
question.
Yeah.
But it just seems like Netflix didn't want it to go on anymore, but that then they're letting them do like this movie. So
yeah. In other Netflix news, Dear White People has gotten a 2nd season.
Oh, okay.
So I guess it's time to start watching that.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't watch things because it's like I don't want to get attached to this thing, and then it
goes away.
Yeah. So that's a story there. I think that's pretty much it. I wanted to say really fast that smart people on the internet have dug up some. So as we know, we talked about this on the show, right? Ron Howard taking over Star Wars, Han Solo.
Yes.
Smart people have dug up archived an old letter that Ron Howard sent to Newsweek when they published an article about the Phantom Menace in 1999 before it had come out.
Okay.
And it's he was writing like a piece critical of their piece on Phantom Menace. I guess they had said that Jake Lloyd looks like a real snoozer.
Okay.
History has proven them right, but
Yes.
as a former child actor himself, he felt the need to write Newsweek and be very critical of them criticizing Jake Lloyd. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Speaking of disasters,
yeah,
just put that one, slot that one right next to the New Mutants, I think. So you've got Ron Howard taking over this film, who's just never made anything that really stands out, and he's like, no, it's okay when people don't act well, and you've got a star in what's his name? I'm not going to bother to learn his name because he's not going to be around for very long. No, it's Aaron Leck or whatever, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Who they just hired an acting coach for. So,
are you serious?
Yeah, we talked about that.
I don't remember that.
Didn't we? Apparently, they got him an acting coach, and I don't know if it's because nobody is going to slam anybody like while you're making a thing.
Sure.
Kathleen Kennedy could be pulling her hair out, and this is the worst experience that she's ever had making a movie or something like that. But she's not going to say crap about anybody until it bombs, and then they go the whole time like he could barely his pants were unzipped or whatever. Yeah, so look up his name. Just look up new Han Solo actor.
Okay.
I'm not sure I get that right. But anyway, yeah. So, oh man, can't wait to see that. It's going to be great. Let's talk about our trailers, our 3 trailers that we've got.
All right.
So the first trailer is for The Rock's upcoming film, Jumanji. It's not really a reboot, is it?
I don't think it's a reboot.
You really want to give me that name, so go ahead.
The name is Alden Ehrenreich.
Alden, that's his first name. It's kind of a weird first name. Alden Ehrenreich. Yeah, I was right. All right, good. Good. It's good to know I was right. But who's the guy in The Baby Driver, though? That's Anson Elgort. Just name your kid something normal.
Oh, my gosh.
Come on, people.
Seriously.
This little Spider-Man kid. Tom. Perfect.
Stick with that.
But anyway, let's talk about the Jumanji trailer. You've seen the first Jumanji.
Yeah, I have.
Did you see Zarathustra? That's the one where they're in space or whatever, isn't it?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. Anyway, when the movie comes out this year for Christmas, so good luck there, December 20th, starring The Rock, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, Karen Gillan, and a bunch of kids who nobody knows and nobody will ever know.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the trailer opens, they all disappear, turn into the famous people, and that's going to be the end of that.
Pretty much.
What happens in the trailer?
So the kids have to clean up this area, the school, for detention or something like that, and they find this Jumanji video game.
Yeah, and it's like an Atari,
yes,
or like a ColecoVision type thing.
So they decide that they're going to play it, and they end up being the avatars that they choose.
Right, and there's no way it's a 4-player game.
No,
not on an old 80s console. But maybe, I don't know. Maybe ColecoVision could. They had a lot of weird sort of things. They had a controller with a springy, like a phone, an old style phone cord.
Oh my gosh!
Thing
really?
that plugged into the thing, and it had a number pad and stuff. And I had a rich friend who had a ColecoVision. That was supposed to be the big thing. Or an Intellivision. There you go. Yeah, right. They have to clean this thing out, and they all end up inside the game. And then, that's all we really know. It's just a short trailer. But yeah, something I want to point out real fast, because we're real, PC and stuff like that. But I like the fact that none of the characters got not whitewashed. We never found out what what's the thing where they play the thing and they're playing things that they're not. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like when Emma Stone plays like a Hawaiian, like an Asian woman. It's like, all right, come on.
Yeah.
Not that it matters, because this is the one time that you could probably get away with that, because they're just becoming some other computer avatar, literally, right? But they managed to, the one kid who's, it seems like it's some kind of Eastern Asian sort of thing, becomes The Rock, who's Samoan, and the black guy becomes a black guy, and then the one thing, the white girl, becomes a white guy.
Yes.
And they could have just done whatever they wanted to, but they avoided any kind of criticism, I think, in that regard, by just matching it up okay.
Yeah, I think so too.
And the explanation that we were promised about how, why is Karen Gillan wearing a midriff top and booty shorts in the jungle?
Yeah.
That they promised an explanation, it'll make sense. It doesn't really make sense.
No, it doesn't.
The fact that she's a video game character,
and is
right.
Why am I wearing this?
Yeah, and just lampshading it like that, it's kind of like having your cake and jerking off to it as well.
Yeah.
Or on it, I guess. So
pretty much.
But whatever. Did this look fun to you?
Yeah, it does look fun.
I think it does look really fun. It'll remain to be seen how or what the audience is. Because I'm sure it's going to be PG-13, right? I should probably know this.
Probably.
Bad host of a show. If the jokes are... I don't mind if jokes are for kids, if they're funny jokes.
Right.
It's like the entirety of all of Pixar's films, basically.
Sure.
So if they get that sort of vibe, I think that would be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
Are you scared to see a Jack Black movie?
No, I'm not scared to see a Jack Black movie.
It's been a long time since he's been in a good one at all.
Yeah, I suppose.
Let's do more, less Gulliver's Travels.
Yes.
And more...
School Rock?
School Rock, I guess.
Yeah. That was a good one.
What about Cradle Will Rock? That one's hilarious. So, yeah, I think this looks okay. Also, you got to give it up. The Rock's character is called Dr. Smolder Bravestone, which is just... that's probably the best name ever. So, we're going to go with that one. Yeah, so Nick Jonas is in this movie, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, that'll be fun.
Oh, my goodness.
I wonder if there'll be... and so the thing about Jumanji is... Oh, and it's called Welcome to the Jungle. I think to differentiate it from the first Jumanji, because it's there's always jungle in Jumanji. You have not distinguished yourself here, sir.
Right.
But anyway, and then of course they get to use the Guns N' Roses song. Thinking about this today, blow your mind. When Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction came out, it was like 1960. Well, sorry, I just blew the joke. It was 1987.
Sure.
20 years before the White Album came out.
Sure.
We're 30 years from. We are farther from the Appetite from Destruction than Appetite Destruction was from the White Album.
That's crazy.
Let's all die together.
It just makes me feel so old.
Yes. Just pile our dusty bones on top of each other. All right. So thumbs up for that one.
Yes.
Can't want to see it. Me too. How about the Death Note movie? Death Note is an American white remake on, well, you know what I mean, on Netflix. And the trailer for that has come out, or at least an extended trailer. What'd you think of that? Oh, people know what Death Note is. You should explain what Death Note is.
Death Note is an anime / manga from Japan, and there was a movie. There are a couple of movies in Japan, and now they've come and they've remade it an American film.
Right.
So it's basically this kid gets this notebook. And you write somebody's name in it, and then they're going to die.
Right. And the kid is like, he's not. Do they ever say what's wrong with the kid?
No.
Because he's not the person that you want to get this book.
No, he's not.
He's kind of a sociopath.
He is a little bit, and he thinks he's the good guy, and
right.
And then he realizes later on that he's not the good guy
because he's trying to kill like bad people.
Yeah. Like
he'll write, oh boy. That's a federal crime. He'll write Kim Jong-il or something in there.
Right.
And then Kim Jong-il dies. He did die. Kim Jong-un. Never mind. Whatever. Yeah, but then now the cops are onto him, and so he's got to kill cops to keep himself out of jail, and it gets all weird. And a guy that likes apples hangs out with him. Ryuk.
Yes.
The death god, the guy that sort of gives him the book in the first place. So what'd you think about the trailer?
I think it looks okay.
Looks like the story's mostly intact.
Yeah. I mean, for a remake, it looks all right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of disappointed that they did it in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I know you're going to, that's why I asked, because you're going to be, I know you're a big fan.
Yeah.
You dragged me to we saw the live action
yes.
Death Note movie.
That's right. In
a theater. Yeah. So, I didn't mean drag, but
well,
so if they can get you, they're doing well.
Yeah,
and they haven't really got you yet. It sounds like.
I mean, I might give it a chance, but
you don't see Nat Wolff do his stuff.
I don't know. The main kid just doesn't really grab me.
Yeah.
The kid who's playing L looks like he's doing a good job.
Yeah, they did a kind of weird thing with him, and not just because he's he's a black actor. It's fine. Probably not a ton of black people in Japan or whatever. So
well, there's probably not a lot of white people either.
Yeah, well, right, but I'm just saying if you're going to cast it for a Western audience or in a Western setting, then
sure.
You want racial diversity for sure.
Yeah,
so that's fine. But he doesn't seem to be doing the sort of L that we see in.
Who's just kind of weird.
Yeah, who's very detached
sugar.
and himself. You like how you pointed out that Kira or whatever is the bad guy, but he thinks he's the good guy.
Yeah,
and L is a lot of qualities of like a villain,
sure.
or at least somebody who's in a manga is like, this is a weird guy, like he's probably going to end up being bad or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But he's the hero.
He's the good guy.
So much so that I saw his solo movie. Which is it's all right, not great, but yeah. So I don't know if they don't seem to be sticking to that. So he seems a little different. And did you like? Everybody seems to like the Ryuk, how he looks and stuff.
Yeah, he looks great.
Yeah.
And he's what's his name? Willem Dafoe does the voice,
right?
Which fits really well.
Yeah,
I think.
it does. I'm a little surprised that they didn't change anything because from the comic, the manga, to the live action Japanese films to this, he looks pretty much the same.
He does.
At no point nobody went, oh, I gotta give him tentacles and he's gotta have a pink mohawk or something. Really spice it up. He just kind of looks the same the way he always has. So for good or bad,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's directed by Adam Wingard, who, boy. Yeah, he did You're Next.
Okay.
And The Guest.
Okay.
Or The Guest with the guy from
from
Downton Abbey. Yeah.
Yes.
And the new Blair Witch. And also, he was an actor in some of those really bad Mumblecore movies we've seen.
Oh boy.
Yeah. He was one of the guys that went to the cult camp in movie whose name I'm not even going to try to remember.
Okay. All right.
What was it called?
I can't remember.
Yeah, me either. Anyway, this comes out on August 25th. Thumbs up?
We'll see.
Okay. Thumbs in the middle.
I'm remaining neutral on this one.
Thumbs firmly in the middle. Okay.
Yes.
And let's talk about the last trailer that we're going to talk about, which is the Inhumans trailer. I'll tell you who the Inhumans are. The Inhumans are... It gets complicated, but basically they are heroes who live on the moon, and they're like mutants, but they're not mutants.
Sure.
Thank God, Isaac Perlmutter. And so they have to live in secret. They can't live on Earth because pollution, I guess, is bad for them. But they have this amazing city called Adelon that can move around, actually. Classically, it's usually on the moon, in the blue area of the moon. And they live there. You've got Black Bolt, who's the king, whose voice is so powerful that it will destroy mountains if he talks. So he's silent. He's joined by his wife, Medusa, who can control her own hair. It's weird. And they have an advisor named Karnak, whose ability is to see the flaws and weakness in anything. And Gorgon, who's like a big bull man who's bodyguard for the family. And they have a giant dog with a tuning fork on its head named Lockjaw.
Okay.
That can teleport anywhere in the world.
Okay.
Yes. So now let's make a new Marvel show. We're ABC. Shield show. It's pretty expensive. Okay, what do we do now? Living hair lady and giant dog?
Yeah.
How's that going to work?
How is that not more expensive?
I know. And we're going to shoot it in Hawaii because that's what we do now. How much of ABC's production wing is in Hawaii?
I don't know.
How many shows do they make over there?
I don't know.
Oh, well, anyway. What'd you think of the trailer?
I think it looks interesting. It's a little I don't know.
You can come out swinging.
I'm not exactly sure how it looks. It looks kind of like it's cheaply made.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's just how I feel.
Yeah. To me, it doesn't look any worse than, say, Lost. It actually looks very Losty to me.
Okay.
And, of course, it's got the actor who played the guy that was on Lost. He plays Karnak.
Sure.
Not very good. Bad host of a show. But anyway, it looks like Lost to me.
Okay.
And the way that Lost could do, they'd have it probably is more expensive than you think to make that old cabin look weathered, that the
sure.
others' radio station is or whatever. So yeah, I feel like they probably have a pretty similar budget to that, and they're doing their best to try to just if we can't have a ton of stuff, let's just make it look clean and brushed concrete and sort of future sterile kind of looking. Although there's a part where Maximus, who is played by the guy whose name I do know, I just don't know how to say it, but it's the guy from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
He's his, the insane brother who gets Black Bolt thrown out or something like that. He always wants to take over his Lucky Charms. Sure. And he's talking to the people, presumably of Adelan, and they're just like, hey, what's up? I'm just a guy with a beard. And it's like, no, you should all, you're a fish guy. They should all be something different.
Sure.
And of course, they can't afford that, so we get this instead.
They get, the beards.
Yeah, right. Beards and cool jackets we can do. Fish heads, sorry.
No.
Sorry, Barnes & Barnes, you're out on that
that
one. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know how to feel about this. I also question, why the Inhumans? I mean, clearly they want to create their own X-Men.
Yes.
Even though they have their own X-Men, but that's a different argument. And so, but what's the story? How are you going to tell this story? The Inhumans until recently had never had their own comic book. They were just sort of Fantastic Four characters. And also, why can you do them at all if they're Fantastic Four characters?
That's a good question.
Somebody messed up at Fox on that one. So, what's the story you're going to tell? I mean, clearly gets thrown out and has to get his throne back or whatever. But how does that... to me, it looks like it's probably going to be like a fish out of water thing.
Okay.
He comes to Earth, he's unfamiliar with it, he gets arrested or something like that, but probably gets out, and then he'll meet a jive-talking teenager who's going to show them how to eat hot dogs or whatever. That's, I'm just, when you approach it as a screenwriter, there are 6 or 7 scenarios, and that's one of them.
Sure.
So I'm just curious as to what this will ultimately develop into.
Well, and aren't the Inhumans on S.H.I.E.L.D. too?
Yeah, they had that big thing on
Yeah.
S.H.I.E.L.D. about that. I don't know if they're going to connect at all.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm
I
wondering.
have no idea if they'll even be connected. It comes out September 1st in IMAX theaters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it'll run for 2 weeks in IMAX theaters, and then it will be airing on September 29th.
Okay.
That's when it comes out. I'm a pretty jaded individual, you know what I mean? Like, fool me a million times, so on and so forth. But I'm holding out hope that this might be okay.
Okay.
I do admit that all the problems that you've pointed out are true. Medusa's hair looks like crap.
Oh my gosh.
I can't believe those are the finished effects. But if this is going to be in IMAX in like 2 months, that must be what they're going with. They can't add anything at this point, right? So yeah, I hear all the complaints and I agree with them, but I just really like it to be good.
I would like it to be good too.
But ABC generally doesn't deliver super great stuff.
No.
R.I.P. Agent Carter.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, let's talk about Comic Book Club. Talking about the Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man issues 107 to 110, a storyline often known as the Death of Jean DeWolff.
Yes.
And after we're done talking about that, I will give a spoiler-free review of Spider-Man Homecoming. And we're doing Spider-Man this week, and we're doing it next week, too, to celebrate the release of Spider-Man Homecoming. It's a big deal. This comic book was written by Peter David and illustrated by Rick Buckler.
Yes.
I should get his name right.
Rich? It's Rich.
It's Rich.
Yeah.
Yes, and it takes place, this is like, it came out in the 80s, like 86, 87. And it's firmly 1980s Spider-Man. In fact, I keep trying to... So I read Spider-Man, as a kid infrequently. Sure. You just kind of, your mom gets you a comic book from the drugstore or whatever. And so there are things that took place in his life that I know about, but they're hard for me to place because I haven't gone back and read like the entire thing. But at some point, like Spidey had his apartment burned down, or he had a fire in his apartment.
Okay.
And so you can always tell where you are in the 80s if you're reading and he mentions, every time they go to his apartment, they mention that there's a fire, or maybe he'll put the black costume on. Or the red costume on instead of the black one, because he's like, well, the black one's still smells like soot from the fire.
Sure.
And at one point, I think maybe in the later 80s or maybe the early 90s, he like broke his arm. So like for a year, he was slinging around with like one arm.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I don't know. They've just always done a good job, I think, of keeping continuity up. For a title that's been around for like 50 years now.
Yeah, no kidding.
But as we join this story, it's ironic it's called The Death of Jean DeWolff because she already dead.
Yeah, pretty much.
I should point out that Jean DeWolff was a character who was a police captain, and she had a sort of kind of friendly / antagonistic, interaction with Peter Parker, with Spider-Man. In his capacity as a crime fighter, and she is a crime fighter as well. But you always kind of got maybe there could have been something between them. There's a little like kind of back and forth sometimes,
right? And
she wore those natty berets all the time. I always had her in a beret for some reason.
That's funny.
I'm not really sure what they're trying to do with that. So what happens in this story?
Well, she's killed pretty much right away.
Right.
By somebody who we don't see. Point blank range,
right?
With like a shotgun. And Spider-Man finds out about it from another police officer,
right?
And he's pretty devastated about it. Also, there's this guy who is staying at Aunt May's boarding house,
right?
This older guy,
yeah.
And he gets robbed, and Spider-Man helps get the guys for that.
Right. And they go to court and they're defended in court by one Matt Murdock.
Yes.
A.K.A. Daredevil, the man without fear, who guest stars pretty much all throughout this thing.
Yeah.
I think it's... So, let's talk about Peter David. Oh boy, let's... I've been doing this for a long time, has written more comics, list long as your arm, author, just,
I think
all around,
this, like,
raconteur.
One of the first, or his first, like, stories that was ever professionally published.
For Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Oh, if that is a fact, I did not know that. But yeah, give me more if that's true.
Is the first professional comic book writing assignment for David.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, well then I'm going to go a little easy on it because the gist of my review was going to be, people remember this? Well, that's great. But for for his first comic work, that answers a lot of my questions because there are, I think we were talking about this earlier today or maybe earlier in the week, that especially at this time, the things that they're doing in comics now I think are amazing. Boy, just all of like Alice Cott's work, like the weird things that he does. But even like Image Comics and like good comics are comfortable with negative space.
Sure.
They're comfortable with a lack of dialogue. They're comfortable letting the visuals push it. Comics will always be closely related to film, but like film, I think they're learning those lessons and putting those elements in comics more. Because comics back then, this was in 1985 actually, are just, it's a book with some pictures basically.
Uh-huh.
And if Spider-Man dodges out of the way of the Sin Eater's shotgun and it shoots into the crowd, he goes, "Oh no, I dodged the Sin Eater's shotgun and it hit the crowd."
Right.
Like, we just saw, thanks Spidey, we just saw that. We just saw your little spandex covered tape flipping over the thing. We know what happened.
Right.
And so there are elements of that to this, but it is sort of written in a more, the text part does feel more, I don't want to say purple because that's a detraction, but it is a little more, I think, overdeveloped than your typical comic.
Sure.
So I can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, yeah. So he, there's this guy killed Jean DeWolff.
Yes.
Turns out that he's this guy named the Sin Eater.
Yes.
He's a bad guy with green boots and ski mask and a purple outfit because the Hulk can't sue you. Hulk, not able to read subpoena. So anyway, yeah, and he just goes around, and what are his powers? Powers? Got a shotgun. And he shoots people. And so he's killing people. He kills Jean DeWolff, we find out later on. He kills this judge.
Yep.
Like while Matt Murdock is like talking to the guy, like Sin Eater busts in and shoots this guy. And it's like, man, what just saved his life?
I know. But it was like he didn't want to.
Yeah, but.
I know.
Is your second identity worth your friend's life?
Apparently.
And later on, when he's at the guy's funeral, he's like, I knew that guy for a long time. Nice guy.
I know.
Yeah, nice guy. But he wishes that his friend had helped him.
Yeah, no
not
kidding.
Die. I'm not sure that Daredevil is super well written in this. I also don't like how whenever so you've got, even Spider-Man is very overpowered, I think. But you've got a guy like Daredevil who can hear everything, essentially knows everything that's going on. How could you get the jump on somebody who has a 360-degree radar sense? Like, you can't.
Right.
He doesn't need eyes. He's got something better. Unless you need him to suddenly be out of it, and then you just go, no, too loud, this crowd. Maddening, this crowd. Can't do it. This car horn, so loud. Must stand here, inactive. It's just bad Daredevil writing. So yeah, anyway, this judge gets killed, and that sort of brings Matt, that is Daredevil, in on this. Then the Sin Eater kills a priest.
Yeah, a black priest.
Right. Which there's this side character named Billy Willie. What's that guy's name?
Which guy?
We're very bad at this. There's the other priest that comes in at the begining because he goes to the Bugle and he's talking to them about stuff.
I can't remember his name.
So he's kind of very critical of what's going on. I haven't read past this, so I don't know if that's a setup for something else because that guy just kind of shows up and just disappears.
Yeah.
But anyway, but he kills this other priest, and so now it's become, New York is getting hot
upset
about this thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of this draws off of, actual like subway vigilantism and stuff like that. I think T. Peter David is tapping
Sure.
into that sort of thing. Even though this is, the mid 80s, it's not like really bad. Well, I guess New York wasn't great in the mid 80s either, but so it kind of draws off of that. They find this guy. This guy breaks into the Bugle and is going to shoot Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson, who's not there because he's off on a trip or something.
Yep.
And Peter Parker's there. He has some quick thinking, and him and Robbie managed to... Reverend Tolliver, that's the guy's name.
Okay.
Him and Robbie managed to take this guy down. They pull his mask off, and it's like this weird-looking guy, and they're like, is this the guy? This can't be the guy.
Right.
This seems like a copycat. And so Daredevil and Matt and Spider-Man are arguing about whether this is the guy. And then there's a lot of arguments between them about, the responsibility of justice and like the system and people getting their due. With Spider-Man, of course, being distraught over Jean DeWolff dying, he actually goes to her apartment at one point and finds all these pictures of himself, as Spider-Man, and puts together that, I think that she was like kind of into me.
Yeah. I
and
wish she had said something.
Right. And he said, reveals that he kind of had feelings for her as well. And so he's ready to go. He's ready to pop.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who is the biggest Spider-Man fan in the world and always has been. And most of the Spider-Man stuff that I've read, I borrowed from him. And he said about Spider-Man, that is about Peter Parker, is that he's like the nicest guy in the world. And he puts up with a lot because he's Peter Parker.
Right.
But you can push him. He definitely has a breaking point. And when you don't want to be in front of a mad Spider-Man, like he will mess you up. And that's kind of, we're getting to that point.
Yeah.
It's eventually revealed that Stan, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, Stan, the police. He's a police commissioner, or no, he's a police lieutenant, also former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Yes.
So we'll get to that in a second. It turns out that he is the guy. He is the Sin Eater.
Stan Carter.
Stan Carter, yep. And he, ironically, was the guy who is investigating the death of Jean DeWolff and that Spider-Man approached earlier in the story for answers. He's the guy, and his philosophy, he's got this whole sort of religious fervor thing going on. Like he killed the judge because he was too lenient. He killed the priest because they don't deserve forgiveness.
I can't remember.
And I guess he killed Jean DeWolff because he just wanted to. It's fun.
Because he didn't like her.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
And so those are his reasons. They're kind of dumb. They pick this guy up, and then a mob has formed, and they're basically want the guy's head. I forgot to say before that. So they stopped the copycat guy, but the real Sin Eater goes to Jameson's house.
Yes.
But he's gone, and now Betty Brant, not Betty Leeds, Peter's former high school sort of flame. Yes. Is there with, I guess, Jameson's wife.
Marla.
Yeah, and so Sin Eater's got to come in and like blow them away.
Right.
But he gets stopped by Spider-Man.
Yes.
And it puts us in a situation where you never think about like superheroes calling other people like on the phone. Who is this?
No.
This is Spider-Man. Hold on, let me put Peter Parker on. This is Peter Parker. Like your disguise doesn't really work. You know what I mean? Unless you're like, yes, can I help you? Where are the drugs going? You're like, are you going to do a Spider-Man voice or something?
Right.
And so it puts us in this position where instead of swinging to her rescue, you have a superhero yelling into a phone to a woman. Yes. This is Spider-Man. You got to get out of there.
Right.
It just doesn't feel very epic and like hero-y to me.
No, it
But anyway, he heads over there thinking he's going to find a body.
Yeah.
But he finds the Sin Eater who's speechifying because he needs to be captured by Spider-Man at this point. And so back to the future here, or back to the present, they've got this guy in jail. They're going to transfer him to another prison because they always do. That's how these things happen. Right. And this mob is there, and they basically get their hands on him, basically. Like the mob grabs Stan. I think it's Jean DeWolff's dad or stepfather is there. Yes. And is going to kill him. And Daredevil's trying to stop them, but too loud. The body's jostling. Worthless superhero. And Spider-Man's like, well, that's what you get. They'll let the mob take its justice, but he's influenced by Daredevil to swoop in and save the day. Yes. And he does. And something that I didn't know about before we started reading this, first of all, I love Daredevil. Didn't know he was in this. So it's just a nice little treat. This is also apparently where they learn each other's secret identities, which I thought was cool. Yes. Because I think everybody knows that, like, I think Johnny Torch is like Spider-Man's like real best friend. But he does spend a lot of time like with Daredevil. They're like pals as well.
Sure.
And often sort of compare notes about their very similar vigilante-ism. Both red costumes, they swing around. Come on.
Yeah.
What do you want?
One's blind.
Right. The other one's a photographer?
Yeah.
Pete, I'm never going to lie and say that I enjoy your work because I'll never see your work. So, feel good. I'm sure it's great, but I'll never have to lie and say it's good if I don't think it is. What'd you think about the black costume there?
I thought it was interesting. I wasn't sure why he was wearing the black costume.
That is the 80s. That was a big deal.
Really?
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of Venom.
Well,
to be perfectly honest.
See, this is great. Who knew that I would have the opportunity? When I woke up this morning, I didn't think that I'd get to explain Venom to somebody, but here we go. Secret Wars was in like 84, I think.
Okay.
83 or 84. And he, in that, Spider-Man's costume gets destroyed.
Okay.
And he's like, how's Aunt May's favorite nephew going to fight crime now? And like he finds this machine that creates this black goo. And it basically like he just thinks about a costume and it turns into a black and white Spider-Man costume.
Okay.
And it sort of responds to his commands. And also it can shoot like webs and stuff like that as well. And it increases his strength. And he thinks, this is great, right? Well, for the next couple of years through the mid-'80s, he would wear this black costume, but he would learn eventually that it was not just a costume, like it's an actual living alien called a symbiote.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think McFarlane had something to do with it because it was an Amazing Spider-Man. But anyway, eventually he realizes that, and this is all in Spider-Man 3, the Tobey Maguire movie, like it starts affecting him, starts to make him like mean and get a Katie Lang haircut and start jazz dancing and stuff. So he gets rid of it, but it sort of, it loves him. Like it, so now it's like a jealous, spurned lover.
Oh my gosh.
And so it goes out and finds this guy named Eddie Brock who also hates Peter Parker because he took a photography job from him or something like that. And then makes Eddie Brock Venom. And his whole thing is that he wants to kill Spider-Man for rejecting him and eat his brain. Well, they added the eating brain at some point. So anyway, back to the old costume, I guess.
Okay.
But he did get a cloth version of the black one that he would wear sometimes, just for the heck of it.
Okay.
And it's just kind of one of those, like, it's not even the 90s yet, but it's like, ooh, it's extreme because it's black.
Right.
Oh, so you're going to take, like, Spider-Man's costume, one of the most recognizable, like, indelible images.
Iconic.
Iconic things in comic books, black and white. Nice. Good, great choice. Great. Great work. But anyway, yeah. It does kind of fit, though, with the sort of darker tone of this story.
Yeah.
And there's a thing that happens at the end. The guy who's renting the room from Aunt May or whatever, Pop Chick or whatever.
Yeah.
He goes totally Bernie Getz on some kids in the subway.
Know.
And you're like, what?
I know.
Does that continue into the next issues or something?
It does.
It does.
His trial and everything.
Okay. Because, jeez. Out of nowhere.
I know.
And it doesn't even run like in any kind of parallel, like while they're trying to stop the Sin Eater, like he has maybe inspired other people to do stuff. It's just, no, we just have to set the runner up for the next storyline, which is old man shoots a bunch of people.
I know.
Who was so nice, who was saved by Spidey in the first thing. See, Spidey was taking pictures of beautiful women when they couldn't see him. And then saying that he was going to put them up in his dark room because, geez, Peter David.
I know.
And then he saved this guy from getting beat up by these punks. It's like he's trying to... comics in the 80s, social commentary.
Right.
Especially after like 85 or 86, Dark Knight and all that good stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, what are you trying to say exactly?
Well, it was a very Bernie Getz thing.
It's like exactly what it was.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to take things into my own hands. I'm going to defend myself, and this is me defending myself.
Yeah, and I'm not saying, like, Bernie Getz did the right thing, but I'm just saying that, like, what was that, 84?
Something like that.
So it must have been, like, right, on everybody's mind. Too soon, Peter David. Jeez. What'd you think about this? I mean, we went through the entire storyline, basically. Talked about the elements and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did it, what'd you think?
I thought it was interesting. I mean, So it's called The Death of Jean DeWolff, and we barely see her in this series at all because she's dead.
Yeah,
right
she's
away.
already dead. Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess I would have liked to have seen her a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a little bit more impactful to see her, you know, interacting with people and before she gets killed.
Right.
But I don't know. I think I liked seeing Spider-Man and Daredevil interact with each other.
Right.
I liked that aspect of it.
Yeah. And it's always when that happens, it's always going to involve, you know, Matt's capacity as a lawyer, you know, representing
Sure.
the system. It's usually going to be Spider-Man is tempted to kind of go off the reservation from a moral perspective.
Right.
And Daredevil's got to be there to kind of rein him in.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that I'm trying to decide how I feel about the comic overall. Because it's pretty dark.
Here's another question. And you might have done some research, so you might know. What's going on with Santa?
Oh, that comes back in another thing, too.
Okay, all right. Yeah, there's this scene where this guy comes to the window dressed as Santa Claus. This is in, I don't know, Queens or whatever. And the little girl's like, oh, it's Santa. Hey, it's July. He's like, yeah, well, just keep coming to hang out or something. And she lets him in, and you're like, and then she was raped or something. Like, where does this go?
Like,
and then later on, you find out that he took their TV or something?
Yeah.
So maybe he's just a robber?
He's just a robber.
Yeah, but what's the payoff? Got to keep reading.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez. All right. Well, anyway, the implications were like, you know, I felt like it was more than. I'm glad it was just that their TV was stolen. Could have been a lot worse in a book with an old man who's shooting kids on a subway.
Right.
Plus, I wrote this down, or I specifically looked at this one panel because sometimes I don't even know what's going on. Like, I think the old man is like kind of losing it.
Yeah.
Like that, maybe that'll be his defense. Oh yeah, that's something else. Like ultimately, we didn't talk about this. The guy that was the Sin Eater. Here's what was wrong with him. When he was in S.H.I.E.L.D.,
right.
He was in like the sort of PSYOPs division or whatever.
Yeah.
So Peter David did two things. He read about the Bernie Goetz shootings on the subway, and also he read the declassified MK Ultra files from the CIA or whatever.
Right.
Because this guy worked for S.H.I.E.L.D. in the division where they were like testing the effects of like drugs,
chemicals,
like LSD and PCP on people, and they found out that PCP will make you real strong, but it makes you real crazy.
Yes,
and somehow he still had some of it in his body or something like that.
Right.
So now that's why the crowd's so mad, is because it looks like this guy's going to get off with like a insanity plea basically, and he'll walk in a year with no jail time, and people aren't happy about that.
No,
but when they the punks are tried or whatever, and the judge basically lets them off. Because they've never offended before. And the old man is walking out with Peter, and he's like, here's what he says. I even still have the gun I took off a German soldier. I think one of those three punks was German. Maybe that judge was a Nazi sympathizer. You think maybe? And it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no kidding.
You are insane.
No kidding.
And give me that gun, by the way.
I know.
I just didn't. I read that like 4 times, and I'm like, am I something wrong with my brain? I don't.
No.
Somebody wrote that. There's a lot of little references about stuff like that. There is one panel where a guy is Buckler has drawn a guy that looks like Charles Bronson.
Okay.
It's just clearly that's supposed to be Charles Bronson.
Sure. And
he's holding a paper, with the headline of "Vigilante Strikes Again." So, did you get the? It's a lot. Comics are a lot different now, huh?
Yeah,
there's a lot of things that you did back then that you couldn't do now. I like how when they're talking about Jean DeWolff, how she would be prettier if she smiled more. Yeah. Anyway, and there's just a lot of stuff that's just not very correct politically. I think when you think about it, you have to remember that comics came from. It was a bunch of white guys.
Yeah. In
an office, smoking cigars and just writing ideas, writing this stuff. And that didn't change for a long time. I mean, this is 1985. This is, Mac Tonight and like Jazzercise and like, we're moving on here. This is New Coke.
Sure.
But it's still, the editors are those same guys. And so Peter David comes in and the editors want to see what they've done all these years, which is men talking to each other about man things. Sometimes the man thing. And taking pictures of ladies who don't know you're there.
Right.
Jeez, Peter, it's weird.
It is
real weird. Would you recommend this to anybody?
You know,
And I swear to God, if you really like Spider-Man, yeah, clearly you gotta. If you really like Spider-Man, you're gonna read it.
Yeah, I don't know that I would recommend reading this necessarily. It's I like I said, I like the Daredevil and Spider-Man aspect.
Yeah.
And that they fight each other at some point. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, superheroes gotta fight.
But I don't know that I would necessarily recommend it to people because it's I don't know if it's aged well.
Yeah, I agree.
So I just don't know.
I have a hard time recommending it as well, mostly because I just remember thinking like, is this it? This is it? This is it. Okay.
Right.
I feel like this is something that I've heard about, over and over again. There's, the death of Captain Stacy, of Gwen Stacy,
Yep.
Jean DeWolff, Venom, just the big, that fire, that apartment fire, apparently.
Yes.
Like the big stories in Spider-Man's life, and this is supposed to be one, and it's like, okay, that's it, huh? All right. Yeah, it's fine. Sure, great.
It just...
Can't wait to see where that Santa Claus thing ends up.
Yeah.
Should have read that.
Well, and you're never really sure, like, he's kind of torn up about the Jean DeWolff thing for a while, but, like, he, I don't know. I think he gets caught up in other things, and he's not as upset about it as the story goes on.
Yeah, that's his sort of obsession or whatever with it is inconsistent for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, I think it's a little bit sexist that like she had to like him or whatever.
I know.
And then he finds out and he's like, "Man, I could have hit that." It's like that's not. Is that what we're supposed to be? A woman has died.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm kind of with you there too. It's hard to read these old comics and when you're so woke.
Well,
you know
and then
I mean?
like the other woman in the story, like one of them was with him before. You know?
Betty Brant.
Yeah.
Yeah. They dated.
And
Spider-Man dated everybody.
Yeah, apparently.
Everybody thinks it's just all MJ all day, but that's not true. It's a lot of people. Liz Allen and Betty Brant. Yeah. Felicia Hardy.
Wow.
Good. Don't get me started on Ben Reilly. Oh boy. Forget that. So yeah, there it is. It's Peter Parker the Spectacular Spider-Man issues 107 through 110. Read them if you want them, but not that great. Next time on Comic Book Club, oh boy. So the summer movie connection continues. The train keeps on rolling, and we're reading a graphic novel that has to do with a movie release that is coming out pretty soon. The movie is called Atomic Blonde.
Oh, yes.
Original title, The Coldest City, a graphic novel by Anthony Johnston.
Okay.
About it's set in the 80s, like right at the heart of the end of the Cold War.
Okay.
I guess the heart of the Cold War would be like James Bond. But yeah, it's set in the 80s. It's about, Charlize Theron. It's not really about Charlize Theron. But yeah, it's a character like that. She's a super spy. She gets involved in a little kerfuffle espionage style in Berlin and has to navigate her way through that. I've heard really good things about it. Okay. And it remains to be seen. I mean, we've all seen the trailers for Atomic Blonde. They're definitely grabbing onto that style.
Yes.
And the substance can go hang. So we'll see how that is accomplished in a black and white comic book.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll be in 2 weeks, The Coldest City by Anthony Johnston, next time on Comic Book Club.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man.
Okay, let's talk about Spider-Man. So, I got the chance to see Spider-Man Homecoming early.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, I don't know. This is going to be spoiler free. I don't have any agenda here. I'm just going to tell you the movie's fantastic.
That's awesome.
It's as good as you've heard. Like I said before, there's going to be a million of these, and Sony and Marvel are really going to have to work out who owns what, because a lot of money's going to be made off of this. Like somebody's getting rich, and they need to figure out who and what they're going to do going forward, because this is never ever going to die. Tom Holland is fantastic. I mean, he was great in that little part in Civil War. If we give this kid a whole movie, is he going to do it? Absolutely. He's great. And something that the movie does really well is that it doesn't shy away from, it's a tale about responsibility. It's a tale about being a kid and all the frustration that comes with wanting to be seen as adult or capable, at least, you know. And they really, really nail that. Like, I was talking to a friend of the show, Andrew Blakebro, when we were going to see the film, about why is this PG-13? Sure, there's action and sort of intense, but this could easily be a PG movie. And it even has a message for kids. It's kind of for kids.
Sure.
And so, you know, you just aim for PG-13 now. That's what you do, because that's where the money is. Like all money-making movies are PG-13. So. But they should have just one. You get your one swear. So you know, Uncle Ben's like, well, Peter, with great power comes great fucking responsibility. But they didn't have to do that, because Uncle Ben's not in this.
That's right.
He's not even mentioned.
Well, that's actually kind of impressive.
It has no origin at all. At one point, they go, oh, yeah, a spider bit me. Yep. And then just keep moving. And so there's no origin. And despite the fact that they cut the origin hour out of the movie, it still feels about half an hour too long. It's really long. And it gets to a point where you never want this in a movie. Like, if your movie's 4 hours long and nobody looked at their watch once and were surprised when the credits rolled, great. But if people are like sitting in this movie and they're like, it's probably going to be over soon, right? And there's like another half an hour, that's probably too long.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I felt. I felt like there was like one action beat too many. I mean, I can't say what it is, but it kind of goes on for a while. You kind of know how it's going to wrap up. It is important to the story and how its story develops, but you kind of, as it's happening, you're like, well, I know how this is going to end. And it lasts like 10 minutes, and that probably could have gone. But there's there's a sort of a third act kind of reveal that is really great. Again, it's tough. I can't say anything about it.
Sure.
But changes the story in a really amazing way. Like I said, the Tom Holland's good. The kid that plays Ned, his like friend or whatever, is really, really good. I think he's kind of the breakout star of the film. The chick that plays Liz Allen, she's fine. Doesn't really do much. Sadly, there's not like a great female foil for him in this. It's just this cute girl that he likes.
Okay.
Michelle is the character played by Zendaya. She's kind of there just for like comedic relief. She's pretty good. Marissa Tomei shows up a little bit, but again, there's not really like a full-on, like, this isn't like Aunt May's story. She doesn't like,
right. And
I've got this crazy guy with a gun who's going to shoot some people in the subway subplot that I'm renting to. He paid in advance. That's not really a thing. There is a lot of Tony Stark in it.
Okay.
And a lot of people say, like, well, isn't this kind of just another Avengers movie? Yes and no. Yes and no.
Sure.
If you, like me, want to see Spider-Man go off on his own and, like, do his own thing, not like Sony on his own, but, you know, not have to be caught up in the Avengers stuff, I think that we will one day get that. But this is sort of the Star Trek Generations of transition movies, I think, where, yeah, there's going to be Avengers stuff in this, but I think probably the next one there won't.
Okay.
Maybe
that makes
Sin
sense.
Eater or something.
There you go.
That's a good one. They're looking through all the classic villains. Of course, you know, we got Venom, we've got the Vulture and Mysterio. Of course, we've got Kane and the Spider Slayers. Yes. Oh, wait a minute. What's this one? Sin Eater. Oh, this is a crazy Christian country. People will buy this up like by the boatloads, right? What's his power? It's got a shotgun. So, other than that, I mean, I guess this is a crappy review, but it's great. Like I said, a little too long. I read somewhere that Polygon or somebody is complaining about how Marvel is shooting itself in the foot with humor. It's too much humor.
Oh, really?
It's a Spider-Man movie. The guy literally just tells jokes while he punches people in the face.
That's true.
That's the entire thing.
Yeah.
So you are wrong. The Fat Controller laughed. Michael Keaton is great, but there's a point where I think, Birdman, Michael Keaton's a great actor, but
Yeah.
but sometimes he's doing like, hey, I'm doing a character like Beetlejuice, and he gets a little Beetlejuicy. It's almost like they went, hey, okay, so you're a hardworking guy, you're from Brooklyn or Queens maybe, right? You're gonna, hey, me and my guys on my crew, we're just trying to work here, that sort of thing. It's like he does that in the first couple scenes, and then he just drops it like it was just too boring or like too. He just doesn't really do that, and then he just becomes like, oh, it's Michael Keaton. Okay, why were you doing that thing before?
Oh man.
So it's a little inconsistent, and I think that because, like a lot of Marvel villains, he's a little underwritten, and we don't get enough of him.
Okay.
But otherwise, I mean, it's a solid villain, and for reasons I can't state just yet, it's a good villain for this teenaged Peter Parker Spider-Man.
All right.
Any questions?
Would you recommend it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. Everybody's going to see this at least once, or at least twice. Like I said, this is going to the moon, never coming down.
All right.
Awesome. Very, very good. And we will have a spoiler review of it on our next show. Let's talk about that. When's our next show going to be?
Oh, that's a good question.
I guess it's going to just be a little bit late. It'll probably come out the Monday or Tuesday after our week of Convergence, and it'll be a wrap-up show where we talk about Convergence. We'll have our spoiler review of Spider-Man, and also it's Crafted Services that day.
Yeah.
And so we're going to watch another Michael Keaton movie where he gets to do as much as he wants. He gets to ham it up all the way and try a lot of stuff on the movie Multiplicity.
That's true.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Can we make some clones of ourselves to watch this movie so we don't have to?
I would love to.
Why do we do this to ourselves?
I don't know.
Well, we're doing it. Doing it, baby. We're doing it. Can't wait. We're watching Multiplicity. It's a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. So, not too bad. Another, come see, come saw.
Yeah.
Call me, call him B. I remember being very unimpressed, so I can't wait. So we're talking about that on our next show. Until then, if you want to find other versions of us online, you can at Facebook and Twitter. You can also find us on iTunes by searching for Just Enough Trope. When you do, follow us or like us, or what do they call it? They call it subscribing to the show. Subscribe to the show. It's the best way to get it. It comes as soon as it's ready. Like this weekend, it'll come every day. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We're going to have mini shows for our coverage of Convergence, and also a show on Monday or Tuesday, or whenever we dry out. So do that. Also, while you're there, if you'd give us a review, we'd really appreciate it, because that's how we know that we're doing a good job. That's how we know that you like what we're doing. And also give us a rating, which is really the most important part. When you give us a rating, a high rating, hopefully it makes us move up in the ranks on iTunes, and that's how you get exposed to more people. We can reach more people, get more good stuff to you guys. Everybody gets exactly what they want. So give us 5 dead teenagers on a subway.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that got dark.
Yeah.
I like how after they pick the old man up, they immediately say like, oh, the youths have some serious wounds, but they're okay.
Yeah.
No, they're not. He blew those guys away. Totally. It's like in a movie when somebody's like clearly is dead, and then off screen it's like, hey, I've got a pulse.
Right. It's exactly like that.
Stephen Tobolowsky tells us a lot of stories, but he told this story about how he was the bad guy in The Glimmer Man.
Okay.
The Steven Seagal movie. And, like, it's a Steven Seagal movie like any Steven Seagal movie. He's like, breaking neck, he's breaking necks and hitting people with pool cues and stuff like that.
Sure.
Well, this is right at the time that he was really getting into, like, his Buddhism and stuff. And he decided that he didn't want to kill. It was bad for his karma.
Okay, so
even
he doesn't
for a
want to
character
kill
in a movie, I guess.
Okay.
So they shoot the scene where he blows away Stephen Tobolowsky, the bad guy, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's in the can. But then afterwards, Seagal decides he doesn't want to. So they have to bring Tobolowsky in to try to ADR something to establish that he's alive still, because that's what Stephen wants.
Oh my gosh.
So he gets blown away. He's dead, like in the script, dead. And he does a thing like, finish me off, you son of a bitch, don't walk away. Do all these lines that, from off screen to like imply that this guy's still alive.
Still somehow alive. Oh my goodness.
Oh, the first rule of podcasting: don't send people to other podcasts, but I would happily send you to the Tobolowsky Files, where he tells all of his crazy stories about his life, and they're really good. But stick with us, though. Stick with us and give us 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. That's it. We just this time recording, we have wasted time that we should be using preparing for Convergence. So we're going to go off and do that now. I hope you come back and join us to hear about the great time that we had at Convergence on our upcoming shows. Until then, I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mikan Hana.
Keep the geek fires burning.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Wealth and fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big hang-up. Wherever there's a hang-up, you'll find a Spider-Man.